So by now you've seen or looked at the videos on apprenticeship, and if you're adopting some of this belief or way of going about things, you understand that there's a rate of perceived exertion when working out. It's known as RPE when you're looking at YouTube and other places. And what it is a scale of 1 to 10 in most cases, where it gives a definition of what your exertion level is when you're doing your exercises. Now, what I want to introduce to you is using this in the proper way. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people believe that when you do progressive overload training, that you have to be at about 80% of your max. So what you would do is you would max on an exercise, figure out what that max weight is, and then take 80% of that and use that as your workout weight for doing the exercises for that body part. Well, I want to tell you that that's great for some of your compound moves, but when you isolate things like arms and shoulders and even do single leg exercises, it's not always easy to get a 1 rep max to go off of. So you rely on this chart, and I'm going to show this to you right now. As you can see, there are different levels. My personal opinion is you can have success and make changes training under 80%, maybe even down to 60%, sometimes 50% of your RPE or rate of perceived exertion. It's just learning, again, treating this as an apprentice. You're going to study these things. You're going to dig into this deeper. You're not going to take this bro science approach and, just because it works for someone, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You've got to figure out what works for you, and it's going to require trial and error. It's going to require research, and you're going to have to look into different exercises for different goals. So use the RPE guide, if you can, to help you understand the levels of exertion that you're going through while you're doing your training and your exercises. And then you will be able to monitor more of how far you're advancing, because you'll know, well, when I do this exercise and give it 60%, I feel this. If I bump that up to 80%, I feel this. You're learning what your body does to adapt to these things, and if it's valuable for you and it's making the changes you want. So it's just something to consider about RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. Use it as a tool. And adding a quick side note here, even Olympic trainees don't train at 80% in all their training sessions. Sometimes they use a 50 to 60% model, depending on what they're trying to accomplish for the day or how many hours they're spent training. So keep that in the back of your mind. And what you could do is cycle down to 50% and then raise it to 80%, maybe off and on, to see where you're at and help measure progress. Popping this back up for you again. If you want to read these different levels, 10 would be considered 100%, 9, 90%. Then you have 70 to 80, 40 to 60. And what I'm telling you is not all your workouts need to be in this 9 area. 7, 8 occasionally, but a lot of your stuff may be right here in the 40 to 60%. So focus on this. Remember these levels, and the explanations will help, so at least you understand what you should be feeling while you're doing these exercises and your workout.